Hello everyone, I am Monica. In this video, we will discuss about the very important concept in the React, that is React hooks. Okay, coming to what is meant by hooks means hooks are special functions in React that let us to use to React features like state, the lifecycle, context, API integration, API calls, etc. inside the functional components. Okay, why I am mentioning that inside the functional component? Because before hooks, only class components could manage state or lifecycle methods that all. Okay, now hooks brought that power to functional components. That's why I'm telling that inside functional components. Okay, now what is the need for the usage of hooks means to make our functional components powerful and also replace complex class components by using hooks in the functional components. Okay, and also it provides reusable with custom hooks also. Okay, we will discuss all these in now. Okay, there are some specific rules to use the hooks in our code. The first most rule is only call hooks at the top table, not inside the loops, conditions, or nested functions like that. Okay, and the second most important rule is only call hooks from React functions, functional components, or custom hooks only, not outside the function components and all. Okay, these are the two main rules to use the hooks. Okay, the hooks must be called at the top level, not inside any loops or conditions, nested functions. And also, second thing is they must be called from React functions or some custom hooks, not other than them. Okay, now we will see each and everything in the hooks concept. Okay, here React hooks. This is the definition for what are hooks means. Hooks are the functions that let us to use React features like state lifecycle within functional components. Okay, and these are the main React hooks that are very commonly used in our React concepts. Okay, first one coming to use state. Okay, use state let you add and manage state means changing data. Okay, like it works like a variable that stores the data dynamically. Okay, for that kind of purpose, we are using use state hook. Now I will give you the brief explanation regarding the use state hook. Like state is like a container inside a component. Okay, where we store values that can be changed over time, like counter value, input field, etc. And for that purpose, we are using use state hook in such conditions. Okay, and why we use statements? Because without it, we can't store dynamic values inside functional components. Okay, okay. Here, the most main thing is to store dynamic values inside components. We need to use state hook there. Okay. Now, for example, imagine a scoreboard in a game. Okay, the score keeps changing when the user is playing. The changing number is our state here. Okay, that is about use state. Now we will discuss this with an example also, simple example. Before going to the example, this is the syntax. Okay, syntax. Okay, here value is a variable that stores the means this is a state variable. Value is the state variable and set value is the function that updates this state variable. And here use state hook. Initial value means this is the value that is assigned to the state variable means value. Okay, here you can see the meanings of these also. Value means current state value, set value function to update the state, and use state initialize the state. Okay, now we will discuss one example with this use state hook. This is our app. Inside our app, we have one app.js. Within this, I am writing one simple example that like a counter app. First, we need to import React here. Along with React, we need to import the hook, whatever we want to use here. Okay, now we are using useState hook. So I'm importing this here. Okay, next, in the next line, what I am doing is I am taking one functional component named counter. Okay, within that counter, what I want to do is I want to set the state, and then in the return, I want to take one button and I want to display the count how many times the user clicked that button. Okay, this is the example, whatever I want to do now. Okay, let me type it once and then we will see the output. Initially, I am making the count 0. Okay, next in the return, I am taking one H2 element. Okay, within that, I want to display the count of button clicks. You clicked count. Here the expression contains the count variable. So we need to place it within the braces. Okay. After this, I want to take one button on click. Within this on click, we have to call the set count function here. Set count of count plus 1. Okay. And I want to give the button label as click me. Okay. This is the example I want to demonstrate this use state hook in React. Okay. This is the example what which demonstrates this use state hook. We need to export this here. Export default. Here our component name is counter. Okay, then only it will show the output, because in the index.js we are rendering our component, so that we need to export that first. Now let me run it once. For this npm start. The server is started. Now okay, this is the output of our page. Here you can observe that when I click this button, it is increasing. Okay, you click this button 17 times. It is updating continuously. This is called the dynamic data storing. Okay, this is about the our use state hook. Next, we will go for the next hook, that is called use effect. Okay, coming to use effect, it runs the name itself showing that is effect. Okay, anything that happens outside the components rendering process, like fetching data from API, updating the document title, or starting a timer, like that. For that kind of side effects, we are using this use effect. Okay, and for example, think of use effect like a watchman. Okay, who watches, changes, and reacts also. Okay, like that. Why we use this means to run code when the component mounts or when value changes, like that. Okay, now coming to this syntax, this is the use effect here. This is the React hook. Okay, and here coming to this effect, effect is the here this is the code to run after render. Okay, this is a dependency array. Okay, our use effect is rendering means re-renders whenever these dependencies are changes. Okay, if you put dependencies array as like this empty array, it will run only once. If you don't mention any dependency array here, it will runs every time whenever you make changes, then each time it will re-renders. Okay, means it will execute. Now we will discuss this use effect with an example also. Now coming to this example, I am taking one, let me remove this, one function named, functional component named counter here. Okay, within this, what I am going to do is, I am taking use effect. Sorry. Let me type it once. What I want to demonstrate in this example is, I want to display just one example, one message like component mounted and component unmounted only once per use effect of. This is the effect whatever we want to run whenever the dependency is changed. Okay, within this console.log component mounted. Okay, after this, what I want to do is, I want to return something here. Return in the return, I am returning one function that displays a message called component unmounted. Component unmounted. Next, we have to give the dependency array. I'm not giving any dependency array. Let's see what the output will be. Okay. Next, we need to write one return for our component also. H2. Open the console. I'm showing like this. Okay, this is the our example that demonstrate the use effect. Okay, let's see the output here. Here we can see this compilation error, that is use effect is not defined. Means here we not use state. Okay, we not imported this use effected from React, so that it is showing that error. Now we will see this output. It is showing open the console. Okay, now right click on this page and then inspect, then go for console. Then go for console. It is showing component is mounted. Now we will go for single array, means empty array here. Here you can observe that when you click this, it is showing like this like side effects in our program or in our project. Okay, now we will go for the next hook. Okay, our next hook is use context. Okay, coming to use context, it can be a global data access. Okay, means what is context first? A way to store or share data globally without passing props through every level. Okay, means without passing props unnecessarily to reach a deep level children. For that kind of purposes, we can use this context. For example, like a Wi-Fi signal. any component can connect and access the same value. Okay, regardless of remaining connected devices. Okay, like this it is working. Why we use this means to avoid props drilling, sending data through many nested components. Okay, here you can see the syntax also. Here we have three steps. Okay, we will see that three steps in example. Okay, here my context is the context that is created by using create context. Okay, and the value is the current value from the nearest context provider. Okay, now we will see this example once. Coming to here, we need to import use context and create context also from React. Okay, otherwise it will show an compilation error when we using that hooks. Okay, I am taking one example that related to theme. Okay, before that, outside the function, we need to declare one variable that is named theme context. Okay, theme context equal to create context. Okay, this is the step one in our use context a hook. Next, in this, make one return here. Within that return, I am calling this above theme context. Okay, and I am providing one value to this theme context by using the provider. Okay, and now coming to value equal to what I want to give is I am giving dark now. Okay, within this, what I want to do is I am calling one function that is toolbar. We will write the content of this toolbar component also. Okay, next we will go for the function toolbar. Within this toolbar, what I want to display is I want to return this function name called one theme button function. Okay, return. Okay, now we will write the function for our theme component, means theme button. Within this, I am taking one button that will display the current theme of the our code. Okay, context. Here we need to use the context. Okay, so that use context here. This is the phase 3. Okay, here what is the context of our declared context here in the first phase, that is theme context. We need to provide that name here. Next, one button element. Okay, within that button, current theme thanks to theme here, which is the variable that is declared in this function, which uses the use context that is created at the theme context using the create context. Okay. We need to return this button. Okay, so that I am writing like this. This is our main thing in our code. Okay, this is the first phase which creates the context, and this is the second phase which provides the content for created context, and this is the third phase which uses the context that is created at the starting and the content provided at the second phase. Okay, now we will go for the output. Let's see what it happens. You can see this current theme dark. Now I want to change this dark value to light. So just make this light. Okay, now we will see the output. You can observe that before here this is dark. Now it is light. This is the example that demonstrate the use context hook. Okay, next we will go for another hook that is called useRef. Okay, useRef creates a reference to a DOM element or stores a value that does not trigger re-render. Okay, now for example, like a bookmark or locker where we store something to use later. Okay, but it does not affect the story or page unless you look inside. Okay, like for this is the scenario where we use this useref hook. Okay, now why we use this means to interact with document object model, like focusing an input like that, and also to store a value that persist across renders without triggering re-renders. Okay, next we will go for the syntax. What is the syntax means? Here this is the ref, this is a variable or an object with a current property. Okay, means here where whenever we use this ref we need to call ref dot current. Okay, so that it is specified this dot current property. Okay, use ref holds a mutable value or document object model reference without re-rendering. Now we will see the one example for this use ref also. First, we need to import that use ref hook here. Use ref. Okay, next we will go for the example that focuses the input. Let me type it once. Here my functional component name is focus input. Now I am taking one object named input ref. Okay, I am using here the user hook. Next, I am taking one arrow function that acts as the DOM node. Okay, constant handle click. Handle click equals to, this is the syntax arrow function like. Okay, here I am using our useref use dot current. We already discussed about the dot current property of the input ref object. Next, what I want to call is focus function, focus method. Okay, here I am calling focus method, which focuses the input on clicking the something else. Okay, here that click button is handled in the button element. Okay, here we need to take one input. Okay, input. We need not to use any value, just we need to use one property named ref which refs our created. Next, I want to take one button that handles this use effect functionality. On click, On click, what I want to do is handle click function. I want to call this handle click function. Okay. For this button, I am giving label as focus input. Okay, this is a function of our which demonstrates our useRef hook. First, we need to export this function. Export default. What is the function name here? Focus input. Okay. Now we will go for the output. What happens? Yeah, you can observe that clearly here. That is, here we have a input field. Okay. After this, we have a button. When I click focus input, you can observe that this input field is focused. Means it is showing like it is focused like that structure. Okay. This is the output of our useref hook and the usage of our useref hook. Now we will go for the next hook, that is use memo. We will see very clearly about that hook also. Okay. Now the next hook is use memo. Okay. That catches the result of an expensive calculation to avoid recalculating it on every render. Okay. Means catches. Catches means saved temporarily. Okay. For next usage within that time period. Okay. Means what is memory? It is like a technique to remember a computed result. So we don't recalculate it in every time. Okay, for example, like using a calculator once and saving the answer instead of calculating it again every time. Okay, like this scenarios, we will use this use memo hook. Okay, why we use this means to optimize performance by recalculating the already calculated values or in components when calculations are slow. Okay, we can also see this example also for better understanding. Use memo only recalculates when number changes. Okay, without it function runs on every render. Now we will see the example of use memo also. For that, first we need to import that use memo hook here. After that, what I want to do is I want to take one functional component that performs some calculations. Okay, I'm taking one function named expensive calculation. Okay, within this, I want to define one function named calculate here. I'm taking that calculate function as an arrow function. For that, I am passing one value that is n console.log. Next, for example, first result equal to 0. Initially, we are taking result equal to 0. Next, I am taking one for that calculates the result. Now, coming to outside of the loop, then return result. Okay, after this calculate function, we have to return our functional components result also so that constant result equals to use memo of, just observe what I am typing here. Calculate, I am calling calculate function here that takes one argument or parameter, that is num. Okay, this is the num. This is the dependency array. Okay, means catches this calculation whenever the number is changes. For that purpose, I am writing this line. Next, I am returning one div. Within that div, result thanks to. Okay, now let's see the output of this code. For that purpose, first we need to export this function here. Export default. What is the function name? Expensive calculation. Okay, now we will go for the output. Let's see what it happens. Here we have one error like this because here we put comma instead of colon, semicolon. So go for the code and then here make this comma to semicolon. Then go for the output here. Num is not defined. Let me solve it once. Why it is showing that num is not defined means here we did not contain any variable named num here. So that first we need to define that. I'm taking one stored set state variable. Okay, and I'm taking one function that updates the state variable. Initially, I'm using useState and making that num value to 5. Okay. Next, what we need to do is here in the result, for handling this result, what I want to do is first I want to make this num value dynamically, so that I am making this, I'm calling this on click event. Within this on click, what I want to do is I want to set this num. Okay, call set num function here. Okay, within that set num function, set num plus 1. Okay, this is the thing what we want to do. For button label, I am giving increase as our button label. Okay, now let me check the output once. What happens? Here you can observe that our error is gone. Now increase means 6. Why it is showing like this means in our logic we make it like this. One core is our answer. For better understanding, I will put 10 here. Okay, let me see the output. Here 190. Just refreshment. Initially 5. Okay, what we are given in our logic, result equal to result plus n. Okay, so that what is the result here? 0. Plus n means, what is the n means here? 5. So 5 0. Next, when we click again here 60, 70, 80, 90 and so on. Whenever we click this button, it will show output like this. Okay, means it is not removing the previous one. It just using the temporarily saved calculation and then performing the calculation based on the button click. Okay, this is about the use memo hook. Next, we will see the our next hook name use callback, okay, which returns a memoized version of a function to prevent unnecessary recreations during re-renders. Okay, means it does not get recreated unless dependencies change. Okay, why we need to use this means if a function is passed to a child component and the child uses react.memo method, you don't want to the function to recreate on every render. In such cases, for preventing this kind of purposes, we need to use callback. Okay, this is the syntax of our use callback hook. Okay, do something is the function to memorize, and dependencies is the this is the dependency array on which the use callback is working unless this dependencies is changes. Okay, now we will see one example for this use callback hook. Okay, for this, first we need to import React and use callback and use state from the React. Use callback, and then in this code we are using use state also for using one state variable here. Okay, now I am taking one function named counter. Okay, function counter. Within this, I am taking one state variable name count and a state function which updates the count value equals to use state of initially I am making the value to 0. Okay, after this, take one function means the like object which uses the use callback here. Okay, now use callback of. Okay, now we will see the actual syntax of this use callback here. Okay, next set count. I am calling set count here of incrementing count by 1. Count plus 1. Okay, this is the thing. And next we need to give one dependency array here. Initially I am making one empty dependency array here. Okay, then after this we need to return something from function so that I am taking one div. Within that div, I want to show the count value dynamically with one button also. Okay, so that I'm taking one h1 tag and displaying the count value here. Okay, next I am taking one component that deals with the use callback hook. Okay, that component name I am taking as increment button. Increment button. Okay, this should be contain one event. Okay, that event should be on increment. I am taking this like event like object that contain increment function. Okay, this is the component that deals with the use callback. Now we need to write this increment button component. increment button equals to what we said previously for the use callback function dot react dot memo function. So that here we need to use that react dot memo. Okay, react dot memo of within this on increment. Here I am using on increment property that is passed in the increment button. Okay, on increment. I want to display one message that is increment button rendered. Okay. Now what I want to do is I have to return something in this function. So that what I want to return is return. I am taking one button that handles this functionality. Button on click on increment. I am calling on increment like event here, which is already defined above. This is the on increment and this is the log on increment here. Now on click I am calling on increment prop. Now I am giving label as increment. Okay. After this, what we have to do now is we need to export this main function. What is the main function here in our code? That is counter. Okay, so we need to export this counter because in the index.js we already imported one component from app.js. So this is a process how to do this. I am making this to count. Okay, I am passing dependency with count. When you click increment, the count is incremented. When you want to see that message in the console, you want to right click on this and then inspect, then go for console. Then it is showing increment button clicked. And then if you again click increment, it is showing count 2 and 2 times the message increment button rendered. Let me make it empty, the dependency array. Let's see what is the output here. Here you can see that I'm just refreshing increment. It is does not showing any message here. Previously we observed increment button clicked because here in the empty array we are not giving any dependency, so it is not showing. Previously we gave count, then it displays the message that increment button is rendered all time when the button is clicked, means count is changes. Okay, this is about use callback. Now we have one feature in our React that is custom hooks. Okay, custom hooks means it just like a JavaScript function, but its name, that function name should be start with use, later any name we want to give in. Okay, this is called custom hook and this is the function, means this is the syntax for custom hook. For example, why we need to use these custom hooks means imagine we have multiple components doing the same thing like tracking Windows age, form state or toggling a boolean value like that. Instead of writing the same logic again and again, we can move it to a custom hook and reuse it. Okay, we will see the usage of custom hook also with one example. Okay, now we will see the custom hook here. One, Now I am taking one custom hook that is named use toggle. How it is defined means first use and then the function name I want to give toggle. So it becomes use toggle means it is like use state, use effect, use callback, use context like that. It is a use toggle which is not built in React but we are creating so that it is called custom hook. Okay. For this I am making initial value. I am passing one prop and setting one default value here like default prop here. Okay, next I am taking one state variable that is called value and then one function that updates this values number. Next use state. Initially I am making this value to initial value. Okay, next I am defining one arrow function named toggle here that deals with the functionality of toggle. Here I am calling set value of. I am taking one preview like variable that refers to the not preview. Okay, like this I am taking. Next, what we have to do is we need to return something from this custom hook. What I want to return is value comma toggle. Okay, what is the value and the what is the original value and the value after this toggle action. Okay, now we need to define our component using our custom hook. Okay, function. I am taking function name as toggle component. Okay, in this function we will use the above custom hook. Okay, now I am taking one constant is visible state variable and then one function toggle visibility. The function name should be start with small followed by capital letters for next words. So next use toggle. Okay, like the use state how we use it here. Here we are using use toggle here. Okay, like this we need to use the custom hook. Next return. Here I want to show the button name based on the condition that store this is variable. Okay, for that is visible. I am using ternary rendering. Is visible. If it's true, then hide. Or if it is false, then show. Okay, this is my conditional rendering. Message. And then in this button, later I have to do another conditional rendering using logical and that related to the functionality. is visible. If it is true, then I want to display one paragraph that is this is a toggle message. Okay, I am taking one paragraph tag within this. This is a toggle message. I am giving like this. Okay, this is all about our custom hooks. Now we need to export this function first. Default. What is our function name here? Toggle component. Okay, we need to export toggle component. Okay, if you want to use this use toggle later also, you need to place export here. Like this, you need to give. You can use this use toggle hook later in other functions, also functional components that are in other files also. Okay, by exporting this. And wherever you want to use this hook, you can import this from import use toggle from app.js like that. Okay. Now let's see the output. Show message. This is the button, initial button. When I click show message, it should show the message like this is a toggle message. Okay, yeah, it is showing. It is showing now. After showing the message, it will the button label should change it to hide message. Okay, because we are showing the button based on one condition. If it is visible, then hide. If it is not visible, then show. For this purpose, it is showing the button according to our message appearance. Okay, this is what how to use the our custom hooks. Okay, this is all about React hooks. This plays main role in our projects, okay, because our React project is mainly based on the components only. Okay, to perform that this kind of functionalities in our functional components, we need React hooks, so that it is very important concept. Okay, this is all about our React hooks. Thank you.